penalize them if you don't change it, then they're...
All they can do is put cavities.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Just reminded me that I can leave it.
No.
We're putting Dustin in charge next time.
Yeah. That much more.
right, whether it's appropriate in that spot, you know?
And we're live.
Folks ready?
The Nettleton. Up at the that's the continents.
We're recording, just like it. All right. All right. Well, welcome everyone to our Planning Commission meeting tonight. We're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to start with the word prayer from Member Little. If after that, if you would please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Our dear kind Heavenly Father, we thank Thee that we can meet together again, and grateful for all the members of our community and the sport. We're grateful for the opportunities to serve, and grateful for this beautiful country that we have. We pray for Thy guidance and direction always as we try to make decisions and work through problems. We pray for always to be love with us and help us to understand what we need to do. We pray for these things in the name of Thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, just a couple notes for Planning Commission before we get started and approve the agenda. Alika is going to be representing, well, they're both representing staff. You guys both represent staff. But staff won't be presenting like we've been used to before. So what we'll do is we'll just introduce, I'm going to read the basic summary of it so we're all on the same page with what application is before us, and then the applicants themselves. Hopefully the applicants are all in the room and you can hear me as well. The idea being that the applicant will come forward and kind of present your own application tonight. It's a little bit of a departure. It shouldn't be that weird or difficult, especially if it's your only time making an application. But it is a little bit of a departure for how we do things here. So just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of that. So having said that, has everyone had a chance to review the order and what's on the agenda? And if there's no questions, we'll take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so the agenda is approved as is. Any declarations, conflicts of interest or anything on the agenda by members of the Planning Commission?
I wouldn't call it a conflict of interest, but I just want the record to know that I have been longtime family friends with the Crowlers. So.
Okay. Well, this is Morton County, so I guess we'd all have to declare.
Me too.
Does anybody in this room know each other? Okay. No, thank you for that. I appreciate that. There's another definition of that as community. So, okay. If anything else to declare? If not, we'll move on to period of public comment. So tonight we have 2 public hearings and a continuation. What would have been a public hearing back then, right? So not a continuation. We have 2 public hearings. So what does this mean? It means that for item number 6, 7, and 8, which is the Crowther rezone, Nettleton rezone, Kingston Trust preliminary and final plat. For those 3 things, I take it back. So just for 6 and 7. So for 6 and 7, the Crowther rezone and the Nettleton rezone. There will be an opportunity for anybody in this room to speak when we get to that item on the agenda. So that's because it's a public hearing. We'll open it up. That's your time to get on record to talk about that. For anything else that's on the agenda, so it could be for item number 8, the Kingston preliminary final plat, our work session for the general plan, or anything else, anything that you want to talk about. We're going to go into public comment. That's your time to come up and just tell us who you are and what your comments are. Sound good? So for item number 6 and 7, hold back. Anything else, we're now in public comment for that. So feel free to come forward, state your name, sing a song, whatever you'd like to do for us today. Come on, guys, it's Thursday. Nobody for public comment? Okay. We're going to go out of public comment then, and we're going to move on to item number 6, which is a discussion, a public hearing, and a decision for the Crowther rezone. So this is a proposed amendment to the zone map, approximately 2 acres going from A20 to RR1, located approximately 1325 North Morton Valley Drive, Milton. Let's see, what does the summary say here? This application is for an amendment to the Morton County zoning Mathis application. This applicant is proposing to rezone approximately 2 acres out of the total 32.91 acres of the site, currently zoned A20, to result in 6.53 acres in the RR1 zone. The site is located in the unincorporated Morton County area at approximately 1455 North Morton Valley Drive and 1325 North Morton Valley Drive. Okay. So that's the application before us. So if the applicant is here, if they'd like to come up and present the application to us. If you, yes, sir, if you could go up there, just state your name. Actually, no, you don't need to say your name. Sorry, we know who you are. Yeah, there's a microphone up there. It's just flat, so we can hear you better from that.
Yeah, I'm the owner, Todd Crowther, of the property, and we would like to subdivide or plan a plan for this area. And we started doing that. We looked at the R1 zone, and it was so shallow that it would take us more than 200 feet per lot. And I would like to request a rezone because of that, and be able to use the 200 feet, 1 acre area that we have for our subdivision or our few lots that we're putting there.
Okay, so I've just got a couple questions. If you guys, you guys can jump in, but.
Go ahead.
Okay. So you're requesting a rezone because it's not zoned back far enough already in the R1 and the kind of in the tunnel zoning on this?
Yes,
Is that
we looked
kind of
around
the-
this, and that, many other places had a lot deeper R1 zone
Right.
than what we had. And even the 2 lots I own on both ends, we would have to add about 100 feet to both those just to make them compliant because it's so shallow.
I see.
Even though the lots are built on 200 feet of frontage.
How far back do they, I'm trying to look right here. So you're proposing like for lot 1's going to go back 271 feet?
Yes.
Okay.
It's up on the screen too.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Gotcha.
it would extend it back in that yellow area, which would give us enough to put a lot on 200 feet of frontage instead of 250 or 300 feet.
Gotcha.
Isn't it part of just because the lots are in the A20 zone, so it doesn't give them enough in the RR1 for 1 acre, so they just need to move it back a little bit into the A20? Even though the lots are gonna be bigger than what,
It's only going to go back 220 feet from the front lot line.
to create for RR1.
And it should anyways.
Well, that was my.
I'll be on my
feedback.
soapbox. Tunnel zoning should be automatically 220 feet back.
But it's not.
Yeah, and that's what your problem is.
That's what the problem is.
That, I understand.
So
Well,
you see,
Because if, normally we would have a FLUMA request, but like Debbie was saying, it should already be at 220 feet or 225 feet.
You look across the street and it's probably that deep. So I don't think the zoning map is to the foot accurate. I think it's just more of a general sweep. So maybe we need an ordinance to codify throughout the county, because it's a waste of resources for the applicant and time and for county staff. Because this is like our third one.
so this is
Done.
going solely off of the GIS. They're just looking and saying, well, it doesn't go back far enough, rather than the description of, what this is the way I read it, the intent of the future land use map, the intent of the zoning was that it would just basically go back to RR1 from the road so that people could put homes on there and then leave the rest in A20. And now the applicant's got to make application because the code is clunky or whatever.
With 200 feet of frontage, they ought to be able to.
Or the map is.
Yeah.
Map
Map's
is
kind of clunky.
inconsistent, I would say. But so anyway, I think we have 2 different problems. I mean, you've already paid and made applications, so I mean, there's
No,
that.
we process it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they directed me to do
Yeah.
when I talked to them.
Okay.
Madam, Mr. Chair, sorry.
Anything to add, Alka? Sorry. Any thoughts? Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
As Lance has stated in past meetings, we used the zoning map for so long as the determining factor that that's why it's been used for so long that that's just been the standard.
I see.
Even though, yeah, we do have old zoning maps that do state that it goes 240 feet from the center line of the road, because the map that we have now is what we've been using for so long, that's what we were basing it off of.
Okay. We can save the rest of the discussion for business and staff questions at the end of the meeting, but, okay, go ahead, sorry.
Mr. Chairman, I move we board a positive recommend hearing.
Public
Sorry, yeah,
hearing.
I got public hearing.
Public hearing.
I move we board a public hearing.
Sorry.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're now in public hearing for this item, so if anybody here would like to come up and comment on this for the public, just ask you to come up and give your comment. Evening.
State my name. My name is Clay Rich. I live at 179 South Morgan Valley Drive. And just really short public comment, I think you should accommodate Todd and Tammy's request. I think it's silly in the county, because this doesn't exist just here, it exists everywhere in the county, where a 200-foot frontage isn't accommodated by the depth of the R1 zone. And the maps reflect that, and so I would just suggest you do that. But a second thing, in terms of making a recommendation for the rezone, I think the rural character of Morgan County is better served by accommodating requests like this from people like Todd and Tammy than it is by accommodating requests by people like Wasatch Peaks, where we've made a rural character in Morgan County, where it brings people in where they get down to their last $10 million, they have to go to counseling and they're not sure quite how they're going to make ends meet. I would suggest that not just Tad and Tammy's, but everybody that comes in that's been here for 50 years, if it's a reasonable request to accommodate their families and stuff, I think the rural character of Morgan County is justified. So I would suggest in your findings for making a rezone, it's not just about solving the frontage, that the rural character of Morgan County is best preserved by this type of stuff. That's my comments.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else for public comment? No? Make a motion to go out?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we're now out of public hearing for item number 6 on the agenda. Any further discussion or a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we forward a positive recommendation to the County Commission for the Crowther rezone map amendment application 22.031, extending the RR1 zone a total depth of 220 feet from Morgan Valley Drive based on the findings listed in the staff report dated May 26th.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Motion passes. Just one comment for the public on that one. The staff report already includes that comment about harmony and character of rural character and all that, so in the analysis. So appreciate that comment. All right. And you guys are welcome to stick around for the conversation afterwards. We're going to bring it up in our staff questions later, but just to let you know. On to item number 7, which is a discussion, another public hearing for the Nettleton rezone. This is a proposed amendment to the zone map of approximately 1,098 acres, going from F1 to MU160, located east of the Cottonwood Springview subdivision in Mountain Green. And get down to the staff report summary. Applications for an amendment to the Morgan County zoning map. The applicant is proposing to rezone approximately 1,098 acres. So no additional information there. You the applicant, sir?
Yes.
How are you?
Good, how are you? Are you guys ready?
We're ready.
It's on.
Oh, it is, oh, sorry, there we go.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Ray Nettleton. I'm Heidi's husband. She's a Gailey. We represent MCC LLC, which is 25 families, 4 families, the Galeys, the Arnells, the Christensens, the Adams, and the Williams. We're here to request a rezone of 1,098 acres of F1 area to ME 160.
This should, I know our slides are advancing, I don't know why.
There we go.
There it goes.
Oh.
There you go, there you go, you gotta go back to the other.
Okay. Sorry about that, technical difficulties. So this area here is already in MU 160, so any residents along here is not really going to be affected by this request. So it's really kind of this boundary. Okay, yeah, here's the entire property. So this section right here is just gonna remain in forestry. So again, this might affect the boundary just a little bit. What this allows us to do is potentially to add 6 single-family homes of 160-acre lots or greater on this boundary. We've been working closely with the Wilkinsons and Taylors and the owners of the ridge, and we've kind of looked at there's certain little pockets of ground there which are suitable for a single family home and maybe a little barn or something like that. Next slide. So this is MCC. This is our goals for our property. As a family, we want to preserve and protect as much land and habitat as possible, while also providing a couple building lots for our family members or for resale or whatever. We want the land to remain wild. We feel that too many people using the property will scare off the wildlife. MCC, we've reached out to UtahOpenLands.org, and we're talking about potentially creating a conservation easement, a private conservation easement that will protect over 95% of the property. So the part of the property that would not be 5% would maybe be like a 2 or 3 acre buildable area for a little little pasture or something right next to the house and barn. But the rest of that property would be in conservation easement and basically used as it is now. Be it shared by maybe 10 families or something like that. We plan to, when we get to the subdivision phase of development, and this is 3, 5, 10 years out in the future, we're talking about some covenants to keep the land nice, keep the ATVs. It's not going to be a motorcycle course or anything like that, or keep the number of people down, not rampant shooting and stuff like that. It might be a designated place for target practice, something like that, but just not a free-for-all, basically. We don't intend to have any fence outside of the building area. And we made a commitment to our sheep farmer, a friend of the family, that we're going to continue that tradition of open range grazing on the property. So approximately 98% of our entire 2,083 acre parcel will remain as, and there's just a couple conditions on the boundary. So I talked about we've been working closely with our neighbors, and they're in exchange for providing suitable easements to these various pockets of the property. You know, we want to make whatever we build there nice and not distract from the rest of the cottonwoods. So again, we're gonna self-impose when we get into that subdivision phase or planning and preliminary plat and all that. We're going to have some covenants that will help keep property values up and have a nice quality addition to the community. It kind of includes limits on the number of livestock and horses. We're not just a couple, 3 horses or something like that. You know, not like a big old herd of horses or cattle or anything like that. Muted natural colors to blend into the landscape. Dark skies, we're not going to compliant. We don't want to light up the whole side of the mountain. Restrictions on the buildable area on the lot to minimize visual impact. So as you're probably aware, there's lots of codes for urban fire management and whatnot. And the idea of that code is to keep make it so that those structures are within the firefighting capabilities of the local fire department. And so it's really pretty tight to the border, no more than 1,000 feet. In most cases, the driveways that we've been looking at are maybe 200 or 300 feet. So it's pretty close to the edge of the cottonwoods. We're leaning towards low roof lines as an architectural standard. So there's some lots that are going to blend right into the elevation of the cottonwoods, and we'll, just normal building will be proposed there. But if by chance the lot is, say, 100 feet above the cottonwoods, the rest of those homes there, we're going to go with like a more of a flat roof line and blend in the hillside whenever possible. So again, working with our neighbors, we're going to provide the land for a water tank and a secondary storage reservoir to support the upper zone of the cottonwoods. And we formed a nonprofit company to do that for the benefit of all our neighbors in the phases 6, 8, and 9. And then again, that kind of, if we connect into the Cottonwood Mutual in the future, it's an additional storage and redundancy for that water system as well. There's a couple clip arts I found, but basically, again, hopefully the homes will blend into the hillside. So I talked about a little bit. Where do I start here? So in order to have these home sites, this is on the very north side of the property, and just to the nature of the way the subdivision is going to lay out in phase 6A and 6B, there's, and that 1,000-foot rule, we actually can't build any homes on our property. So we've made a deal with the Wilkinsons, and we're actually going to designate the building site that's already in the Cottonwoods development agreement. So it'll be a normal Cottonwoods lot backing against a 160-acre lot, and then those people will have rights to they'll have rights to play on the ground and maybe a barn or something behind their house or something like that. So again, those there's at least 3 instances where these lots are going to blend right into the cottonwoods. And then there's a couple instances where we're proposing a driveway to access, like in this case, Lot 3. So again, this is just the rezoning phase, but you know, I wanted to try and address as much as we can any public concerns. But again, there's a 160-acre lot, so on the entire 2,083 acres, less there's a small section in the very south west corner, which has there's 20 acres there that has the capacity for additional lots, but it's really up to 11, and honestly I don't think we'll see 11. It'll probably be 9 or something like that. But by the math, you know, you divide the roughly 1,800 acres divided by 160, it'll give you 11 lots. So plan to utilize single or dual driveway access from the cottonwoods. Again, the driveways are less than 1,000 feet long. I kind of just discussed this. It's really, some of these lots are already going to blend in, so it's really not a net add to the lot count for, you know, Mountain Green area. You know, if there's a PRUD ordinance, you know, we'd like to explore that when it comes online, and do clusters of maybe 2 or 3 home sites. You know, when we get to the subdivision phase, you know, I think the subdivision will actually protect, you know, the lifestyle and what people are trying to accomplish up there by, you know, when we adopt the subdivision, we adopt the CC&Rs and the protections and the conservation easements. So it should be a, you know, everyone should feel better that nothing's going to change up there. So this is just kind of a high-level view of the zoning map. So our property is right here. Well, actually, sorry, it's all of this. But if you look at the surrounding areas, it's usually a section and a half of MU 160 next to, you know, the medium density areas, and you know, in our case, they went straight from high density, you know, the Cottonwoods building right next to us, to forestry, which doesn't allow, you know, any single family lots. And, you know, forestry does allow for a couple, you know, I think it's one part-time dwelling per 640 acres, or 360? Yeah, so, you know, potentially could have a part-time residence or something up there, but the ME 160 would, you know, eventually allow us to put up to 6 homes, additional homes on that entire piece. I think that's it.
Okay. Any questions for the applicant? Any clarification or anything? Or staff?
I mean, maybe you've already got to it, but the staff report, you know, it was a positive recommendation. It met all the criteria. You know, if someone wants to read, I don't know, Bailey, would you be able to read the MU 160 part, or is that benefit for people?
They have this.
Yeah, we have it, we've read it.
Oh, okay, I'm sure you guys are well familiar, but it fits that to a T, I think. So, yeah, I think that's all I got. If there's any questions or concerns.
So I don't think we have any questions for the applicant. We can go into public hearing and go from there. Thank you, appreciate that.
Mr. Chairman, I move we go into public hearing for item number 7.
Okay, motion
Second.
and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we're now in public hearing for this item. Opportunity for the public to come up and comment on this application. No? Okay.
To
No
go out of
comment?
public hearing.
So moved.
Motion and a second to go out. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we're now out of public hearing. I know that must seem weird for the public, but it's, anyway. Okay, so discussion. Everybody had a chance to read the staff report, see what their recommendation is. I had a lot of questions, but I mean, I answered them as we've gone through, and it was a great presentation, by the way, as well. Appreciate the high level of stuff, but clearly you don't have to give us that at this point. You're not subdividing or looking for that.
I have an overshare.
No, it's fine, and it's good, because,
I had a deleted slide, it's just like.
no, it's good to know what you're thinking. But clearly you're gonna need that at the next phase and the next phase and all that. This is just we were already right passing notes up here, asking each other a question, so I don't have any more questions up here. If, do you guys have anything? No clarification? Okay. Anybody's?
One thing I have, I mean, a good presentation, but things he's promising, promises don't mean anything.
Yeah.
If I remember right, at the last time you were here for your rezone, you said you weren't going to do anything else with the rest of the property.
Actually, I'm glad you brought that up. I did want to clarify that. I actually rewatched.
Would you mind? Sorry, yeah, just for the
Yeah, sorry, I rewatched the video, and the last was the fluma, and what I said specifically was that we would not come back for any future land use map change. And as you're aware, this is within the same general natural resources designation. It's in that same category, very, very low density preservation. I hope if you really want to look at it, it's like minutes 27 to 32. But I hope I didn't misrepresent. I said I stand by that comment. We will not come back for any additional changes to the future land use map, and we are attempting to preserve over 98% of the property. So that's all still true, and it's still true. So.
And again, I appreciate that, but like Debbie said, just for everybody's awareness, we do appreciate that, but that's later down the road, right? And there's that could change.
Yes.
And the facts before us are that MU 160 allows for one dwelling unit for every 160 acres, and so that's what we have to look at now. And then if you come to subdivide or rezone, anything closer or whatever later, we'll have to look at that as a separate.
But we could not rezone to anything without a fluma change.
Correct.
Right, so
yeah,
you're protected there.
Yeah, well, I just didn't want to, I don't want to get down in the details of what you want to do, because we're not quite there yet. We're just 160 acre lots, you can put 11 lots on there.
Six.
Six buildable, yeah.
And
Thanks for that clarification.
And services and access is difficult.
It
But
is.
that is addressed at subdivision.
It is, and it's.
They've got a lot of hurdles
That's
to
going to be up
jump
to the
through.
applicant to figure all that out themselves. Good point. Okay. Who wants to go?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I move that we forward a positive recommendation to the County Commission for the Middleton rezone map application amendment, application number 22.026, changing the zoning district from F1 to MU 160 based on the findings listed on the staff report dated May 26, 2022.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second on that motion?
I second.
Second over here. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Okay. Moving on to item number 8, discussion decision for the Kingston Revocable Trust preliminary final plat. You guys will have to fill me in because I wasn't at the last meeting that this was postponed from, but it's a proposed preliminary and final plat for a 2-lot subdivision located at 650 North Robinson Lane in Mountain Green. This discussion decision is a recommendation, correct, to County Council, or to County Commission? It is.
It's a decision.
It's a decision, okay.
Yep.
We're it.
So we're it, just wanted to get that out for everybody else. And then the staff report, go down here. Summary is, county staff has reviewed the application. Staff is hereby recommending approval of the requested preliminary and final plat based on the following findings, and they list findings and conditions. So I'm just going to read this just so I can catch up and everybody can get a chance to read this. The applicant seeking approval for a small subdivision, preliminary and final plat in the Mountain Green area. Property consists of 0.846 acres. The subdivision will consist of 2 lots. There are 2 existing homes on 1 parcel. Subdivision applicant is to split the parcel into 2 lots, 1 for each existing residence. Proposal has been reviewed and meets the preliminary and final design standard as required by MCC. Okay. Thanks for your patience in us reading through that.
Hi,
Hi, how are you?
I'm John Robinson.
Hi, Jim.
I'm the executor of the trust. I'm just here to answer any questions you have, or if I need to present you anything.
We're probably going to have some questions. Like I said, I wasn't here and you guys postponed that, so I'd like to hear that discussion.
Well, there were some deficiencies on the plat at our last meeting, and so we postponed it so that they could comply with code for preliminary and final plat. And I still see deficiencies.
What deficiencies?
You need to show buildings that exist. You need to have topography. You need contour lines. You have a signing block for Highlands Water, but then you said something about a well, that you're on a well.
Yeah,
So why do you,
it's a private well.
you need to show where the well is and the wellhead protection. It needs to be approved by Weber Morgan Health.
Been approved by Weber Morgan Health years ago. Been there for years.
Yeah,
You have a new subdivision, and they have to approve it for the new subdivision.
so before we get into these,
But a break off is all it is.
yeah, let me just give you a top level. I'm coming in kind of fresh on this and looking at it. I'm just up the road from you. I'm real familiar with the property. Here's the dilemma we're at. So you've made an application. I understand what it's like as an applicant and a landowner. You want to get things done, and but we are the final decision. So if we put a whole bunch of conditions on there and say that, okay, you got to meet this, you got to meet this, and this. There's really no follow-up mechanism for that. There's some risk in that. What we really have is an incomplete application. There's some things missing. There's a long list of things, and I can give you the code reference. Well, you can look at the staff report from last time. Everything that says COA, condition of approval, all of those they currently don't comply with the code. The way we look at these things is pretty straightforward, just square peg round hole. Here's a checklist of things, got to do these things. You do those things, it's really administrative at that point. We go, okay, we can move on, and we can move you on to preliminary and final. I don't think any of us see any problem with that, other than the application. There's significant things that are incomplete on the application. If we look at it and we all start talking and make a recommendation, it's possible we could make a negative recommendation. I don't want to see you go there. What I want to see you do is go back, get the drawings fixed, make sure everything's nice and neat so that we have a good solid application that we can make a decision on and go, okay, yeah, let's move this thing along. It's not a negative thing on you or anything. It's just there's some things that I think we need to tighten up. That's my perspective.
Well, I talked to the surveyors, and they said that they don't usually put pictures of buildings on their plots.
But our code requires it.
Yeah.
Your surveyor needs to look at our code and make sure he meets our code and not what he usually does.
The only building that is a little tough shed in the back.
No, you have 2 homes.
Yeah, it's the homes is what we're looking for. So
You have to have a picture of the homes on the plat?
yeah, so here's some of the big things that are missing that are problematic. It is that, okay, you got to show a good plat overview of the plat, show us where the slopes are. show us where the homes are, show us where the well is, so we know where the wellhead protection is. I assume you guys are on sewer, right?
Yep. I don't live there. This is my mother's estate. We're just trying to resolve it.
Okay, no, I got you, and we're not trying to make it even more complicated for you. We're just trying to help you understand that there's some significant things that are missing that we really need to get on this plat map so that we can move the thing along.
Well, that was another thing that I was concerned about. Thought we were going to get a list of things that they wanted on base camp, and we never received anything from Lance. We kept looking, we've called, my sister's called up here several times.
Yeah.
Nobody would answer anything. So in order for me to go to the surveyor and say, now you got to do this and this and this, I don't have a list of anything. Right. The only thing I was talked to about was you had to have an easement to the well, and that's going to be approved later on down the road when they do their water association, when they sell off.
Sure.
As far as all the other stuff goes, I never received a thing. And we've been asking and asking, what do we need to do besides, I don't understand pictures of buildings, and I asked the engineer about that, and he says, we don't usually put pictures on. Mm-hmm. But then again, every county's different, he said.
It is, and the code, has he had a chance to review our specific code and look at the checklist? I think it's actually on the application. There's a checklist you can give them. Is that right? Mm-hmm. So there's some things on there that you can give them. I think that's a good place to start.
Well, and I need the list because I never received it.
Sure.
I didn't get anything, and we kept contacting up here to find out, and we never did get any answers, and never seen a thing. We usually get a thing on base camp that tells us what we've got to do, and we thought we were good because they're billing us. Now the surveyor's done his job.
Sure.
Evidently, he's not even done. He was supposed to be done with this by today. That's what this meeting coming back for was, to have him be completed as far as his issues were.
Yeah, and it's not.
And that's not done.
Yeah.
So here we are another 2 weeks out, and that's not done. Now you're telling us we got to do a bunch more things. So I didn't get that list.
Bailey, is there a way to put the preliminary and final subdivision on base camp, the application?
Well, yeah, the checklist is separate from what he's talking about. He's talking about the review of the revised plans that were submitted last meeting that the surveyor hasn't had a chance to get to because he's got 12 other projects he's working on currently.
Right.
Who's surveyor? Your surveyor or the county surveyor?
Our surveyor
Okay.
hasn't reviewed the revised plans that were submitted the day of the last meeting.
But I'm talking about access to our code so that his surveyor knows how to comply. Is there a way to put it on base camp so they can all see it?
An application with the checklist.
If you put that on base camp, it'll go directly to the surveyor and he'll see it.
Okay.
And that's what it's all about. It needs to go down to Daniel Lewis, who does all that. But he needs to see it. He can't.
Yeah, that's a problem to solve. I sense and I understand your frustration. Not trying to make things more complicated for you. We're just trying to help you get this application, shored up so that we can get it moving along for you. So we'll get that on base camp, get that to your surveyor just so they know. I mean, I'm looking at it here so we can put it on base camp. I've got it in our staff report. And everything that says COA, all those details in there, you got to see those. You got to see those on the plat. Otherwise, the application's it's not complete. It doesn't meet the initial application stuff. Really shouldn't have came to us yet. And then you wouldn't sense the frustration.
When you say wellhead protection, what are you talking about? I mean, it's covered.
Well, on the drawing itself, you'll see what we'll see the building, we'll see where the well is, we'll see where the wellhead protection is.
The 100-foot radius.
There's a 100-foot radius that goes around there that you can't.
Yeah, but you can't stop him for a wellhead protection. That's not us. That's Morton.
Right, but he needs to show it on the plat. It's required to be on the plat.
It's a requirement of the plat.
Required, but as far as the protection zone, that's not us.
That's Weber Morgan Health, but he needs to show
But he
it.
can show us. I mean, that's what I say when
we wouldn't do anything with it.
When
It's
you
just
say
gotta be on the
wellhead
plat.
protection, that's like we're in judgment of that, and that's not the
No.
case. All that he needs to show is where the well is.
Correct, and they typically show 100-foot
It
radius.
would
they're
show
required,
that,
yes.
But it might not meet splitting the lots out to do that.
So
Yeah.
is there one well for the two homes?
One well supplies 4 homes. My mom owned 3 out of the 4. My sister here owns the other one, and that's all family owned.
So you'll need a shared well agreement.
Well, they're doing that now, but we don't want to go there till we get this resolved, because once we get this resolved, then we'll do the association, water association thing, because we don't want to sell the other home until we get that done, because you're just asking for headaches.
But usually Weber Morgan requires a shared well agreement for them to approve it. I'm just trying to give you ideas of what needs to be done.
All we're asking for is the application says, you know, this. We're just asking you to give us that because we're making the final decision.
Can you give me a copy of what the application that you want done tonight, and then other stuff sent to the surveyor so that he knows?
She'll put it on base camp as soon as we're...
We already got those changes. We sent those changes to our surveyor, and he made all those changes 2 weeks ago.
They didn't make it onto what we have in front of us.
He's never gone over them.
Yeah, I guess. He just hasn't completed it. He's, like I said, he's got 12 other projects currently working on. He's going in the order it's received, not the size of the project. So there are some major projects.
I even emailed him and asked him if everything that, all the changes, he had like 25 changes that needed to be done.
Yeah. No.
So we sent them to our surveyor, or he did, and they sent them back.
Totally understand. We're not trying to be adversarial. We're just saying the application, we got some things on the application we just need to fix before we can move on. That's all we're asking for is to, let's figure out where those gaps are, get those things closed so we can move this thing on. We can't approve an application with that there's all those things missing on it. So whether it's with your surveyor or the county surveyor, either way, my recommendation is going to be that we push it out until the county surveyor, and then you guys have a chance to get everything shored up. We can check it off and say, okay, let's move this thing on. Again, we're not trying to be, difficult. Just
I think a lot of this problem would have been resolved if your surveyor would ever answer a damn phone.
Well, to be fair,
he never would answer the phone.
To be fair, it's your surveyor too. We both live in the county.
No, we called him we tried to get him up here to survey this because we wanted it done within Morton County. We didn't want to go outside, but we was forced to because we couldn't get him on the phone.
I get it. Look, I'm a resident of the county. I'm your neighbor. It's our surveyor.
It's frustrating.
We're trying to help you with an administrative process here. We're doing our best. We're not trying to make it more painful for you. There's just a few more things we need to tidy up.
Okay, well, if we can get that stuff, if I'd have had that in hand, I would have had that done by now, but I didn't have anything, so I didn't know.
I understand.
I remember her saying something about easement to the well, but I never heard anything about Weber County, Morgan County Health Department stuff. I didn't hear nothing about that. That well's been in there for years, so I don't know that we have. Do we have to have a copy of that? Is that what you're saying?
Well, help me out. So the requirements for this application are basically you just got to show capacity.
You just got to show it, don't they?
He just has to show it.
Yeah, so you just need the well log for the existing well, and then if it's a shared well, you need the health department to give you a letter stating that it's a shared well.
It's a shared well.
Existing
it's
shared
approved.
well. Yeah, it's approved. Nothing, I mean, not what you would have to go through if you were digging an entirely new well.
It's not just a ton of stuff. There's just there's some things we need. The county owes you the list of things. You need to look at those, take them to your folks, our surveyor, the county, our shared surveyor. The county needs to look at it. We need to get all those things checked off, and then we'll move it on.
So there's some things that I need to do, but there's also some things that needs to be sent to my surveyor.
Sounds like it.
And that's the responsibility. You guys to send that down to them so they get it.
It is, and let me add one more piece to that as well, just to try to ease your frustration a little bit. Our planner is resigned, so we don't have one in the county. So
I get that. I hear that.
and we're not planners. I'm just a resident, and a landowner like you are. We're just trying to look at our code and try and serve you as the public. We're trying to get these things through and get it off to the next person. We're trying our best, but I mean, we don't work here at the county either, we just come up here.
Okay, but I don't know, Gary, if there's one thing maybe you don't understand, but these homes have been there for, my mom's home.
I get it.
It's been there since 2009, okay? The
Yeah.
well has been drilled way before that. It
Yeah.
was drilled for her home, and then we put the 3 homes, her rentals, her 2 rentals on that. And then later on, my sister and her husband added their home to it. So this has all been done years ago, and there's nothing new here. It's all existing.
I get it, it's just literally just some simple stuff on our code that we have to, we just gotta make those things made. It's a very administrative thing. I know all the history. My wife took care of your mom before she passed. I know Kevin, I live in the neighborhood, I understand all that stuff. We're not trying to be no people or red light people. I'm just saying, hey, there's this stuff. Let's work together. Let's get the stuff in your hand. Let's get this thing closed out and let's get it moving on. Honestly, it's not. Your well's not in danger. None of that stuff. It's just let's just get these boxes checked off. That's all we're asking.
Well, I would have appreciated that to happen if I'd have known we had to do all this. I'd have had something done. But
Understood.
Bailey knows that we get right on it. I get that surveyor going down there and get him on stuff, and he cleared this stuff up within a week.
Yeah.
This was like 25 things that the engineer, I guess, is that what he is, surveyor or engineer? What is it?
Sounds like surveyor.
We have both of them, it's a surveyor.
At any rate, he's had all this time, and how long has he had that? He's had it for a month, hasn't he? And that's still not, he still hasn't cleared it up. He still hasn't gone through it and okayed it. So we're still in the dark as to whether he's okay with that.
We postponed it because we thought we would have the results tonight, so.
So it is frustrating for us too. We've been going on with this since September. No, not September, November. And I get that it takes time to do things. We understand. Morton County's growing. But my word, this has just gone on and on and on, and every time we come up here, it's something else, or I get something else in the mail, or on email that says, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. And each time this happens, it costs us more money out of our pockets. They don't do it for nothing.
We understand.
You guys don't do anything for nothing. We just got bills from you guys for over $1,000. And we thought we were done because we got the bill.
We do this for nothing.
How do you get
Yes.
So anyway, if we could get that, and if I could get a list of what tonight, that I could get
I
grabbed,
already posted it, please cancel.
okay. And then we'll try to get something done.
For what it's worth, we all feel the frustration. I apologize on the county's behalf for any frustration you're going through, but we're going to continue to work with you and we'll get this thing done.
Okay.
And one correction, I was talking about easements. We require, it's called public utility easements. It's like a 10-foot easement around the border of the lots.
That's on the list as well.
That's he needs to show those.
That's another thing that's going to be added, is you do their association thing, that the easements will all be, the well easement, everything will be on.
No, the 10-foot easements are required for subdivision on the lots.
Yeah, they got to show them around the side. It's got to be on the map. It's one of the things on the checklist. And when we make this decision, it's final. So if we have a whole bunch of open, unchecked list items, there's no follow-up.
Wouldn't there already be easements on the power?
There probably is. They just need to be shown on.
You have to show them on the plat. And it's just a 10-foot easement along the sides and the front and the back.
Yeah, I told him about that, and I thought he did that.
Not in the one we have, and maybe the one the surveyor has.
No, so this one that's up here is the one that the surveyor has, or the surveyor sent in on the 12th.
Okay.
This is the one that's in the packet also. And
I can't read that. Where's the list of what the surveyor wanted done?
So the list that the surveyor wanted done is on base camp. I think it was in the last packet, wasn't it? I'm not sure.
Because we got all that done.
Well, just one thing I wanted to point out is that it now says Mark Kingston and Burley Kingston for the owners. It doesn't say you anymore.
I'm not an owner.
Or trustee, but Mark and Burley can't sign the plat, right?
No.
He's got them listed to sign the plat.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Hey, Ms. Robinson? can I just come up here real quick? So this might be a little bit more enlightening seeing, so this is an older one from a packet that we had a couple of meetings ago. So you'll notice that in this case it's a proposed home, but you'll notice that we have the outline of the proposed home. Your established home should be shown on these, as well as any easements that are going around here. And you've got the driveway, and so basically there's a lot of detail on this one that isn't showing up there. So
On the newer one?
So, yeah, so if you look at,
that's
so
all
this
we
is
have.
that's the new one here. You don't see the footprint of the homes, you don't see the easements, you don't see the driveways.
Wellhead protection.
Wellhead protection is on here.
Elevation.
Yeah, so like in this case, we've got the wellhead protection sitting right here. So you can look at the difference between the two of these and see that there's quite a bit more detail in this one. And this detail, is basically the legal document for this property.
And that's why we got, it has to match up to what the code says. and that's what
Is
the
it
code
not
says.
any of those things that the surveyor requested on there? None of
No.
that's this?
No, he
No.
didn't put anything on there.
No, so
It
again,
basically looks like a PowerPoint presentation with a.
So I need this sent to the surveyor then, so he understands what he's got to do.
He should
Yeah.
know once he,
Why the heck are these guys all different? Are they different and you guys are all different? Now, they say you counties are all different and
yeah.
I'm saying they're different.
well,
In my 8-year experience, almost every plat looks exactly the same. So.
For our county.
For our county, there's a lot of stuff missing from here.
but it's doable.
It's totally doable.
It's totally doable.
It should be
It'll
pretty easy to
work.
fix.
Okay, well, if I can get a list.
Okay,
So
so.
to have that, I would have done something, but
Sure.
I didn't know what you really wanted. I called them about the easement thing in the well,
Yeah.
and pictures and stuff, and they said, well, we don't usually do that. Well, they're wanting it, so I
Are we
guess
asking
I'm
for
gonna
pictures or
have
the
to have it
footprint?
sent right to them and tell them.
Yeah.
we don't ask for pictures, we ask for the footprint.
With the
Just the
footprint,
footprint, not pictures, just an outline of the home.
Just the
what
footprint of the home.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get you.
Okay. We good? Any more questions?
She mentioned that Mark and Drew was both on there. Did that just get put on there?
Yeah, that's on the latest revision that the surveyor submitted on the 12th. So our surveyor called out that you weren't listed as a trustee to sign the plat. So I guess instead of just putting the name of the trust and that you're a trustee, he switched it. So now that's what's showing on there.
So now it needs to go back to Kingston Revocable, not Mark and Berla Kingston.
Yeah, with you as the signing
I
authority.
didn't know that had been done, I hadn't seen that.
Yeah. And it just needs to say trustee at the bottom too. Also, I'd like to point out, I did write a little paragraph in the staff report, kind of calling out a few of these things. I would be happy to write a memo too. Or, yeah, that I can put something down as soon as I can.
That'd be fantastic.
I can also talk to their surveyors as well, if that. I'd be happy to do that.
Appreciate it.
She's our consulting planner, by the way.
Yeah, I just hopped on this.
I would appreciate it if you called it. The name of the guy's Daniel Lewis, which talked to you down there. Yeah, they're in 3D.
Postpone the next meeting.
Okay, yeah, I'd be happy to give him a call and get this all resolved.
Be ready by the next
Well,
meeting.
we'll be
Appreciate it.
there, be able to respond.
I guess we need to get all the Weaver's, Morton County Health Department, get a letter to them.
they need to see the plat.
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah.
they'll need to see your-
So you can just fix it and it's,
they have to sign off on it, right?
Yeah.
The Mylar one.
Yeah, the health
So we
department.
don't need to do that until we get.
No, they need to see it before they sign, they need to review it.
Yeah.
not the Mylar, but.
Not the Mylar, but just-
Once this plat gets all the things it needs on there, then Weber County will review it and pass it on to the next thing. Do you guys want to make sure that she has your number, or she's calling you and contacting Alka? That way?
Yeah, we'll get, yeah,
Okay,
we'll coordinate it.
okay. Trying the best we can. Is that understandable? Okay. Thank you very much, appreciate that. Okay. I don't want anybody
Do we have a
knocking on my door or anything, you know what I'm saying?
The 9th is the is our next meeting, June 9th.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I move to postpone item number 8 to our next scheduled meeting, June 9th.
Okay, we have a motion to postpone. Have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed.
Is that going to give us enough time?
Go for it, if it don't, then they can,
It should be, I mean,
Yeah, they
it
should.
just, it sounds like they just, anyway, just need to go back and they just need to make those changes and get a plat that meets the code, right? It sounds like you're gonna reach out and help them, thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. On to item number 9, which is why everybody else is here. Work session for General Plan 2022 update.
yeah, exciting.
As they leave. All right, I'm gonna switch open, I'm gonna open up my general plan. Doesn't sound like we didn't, last meeting, I wasn't here, obviously, we didn't get through the first part, right?
Shane was done.
Yeah, it was almost 10 o'clock.
Yeah, you guys did a very good job.
Yeah, you guys must have a lot of fun.
Clearly, you don't need some of us here, so that's wonderful. So how about, how far do you want to get? Let's set some business rules for ourselves.
I think it's gonna take you a long time. I don't like it.
I have a lot of marks on chapter 1.
The executive summary one?
Okay,
No, chapter 1.
Chapter 1. Right. And I have stuff on the executive summary we can come back to.
Well, let's start with that, because that's at the first of it.
Yeah, I just kinda read through that one.
I'd say the goal is to get through the very first part in chapter 1 today. I wish I would've brought my binder.
That you requested.
So who's
Yes.
gonna make and record changes or comments in that? Can you do that, or
Or comments or?
tonight as we talk through this on the general plan?
Because we can change it, right?
Yes. I don't know if we're going to get to the nitty gritty.
Just the way it is, no more changes.
Fail.
Be done.
No, we have a preliminary product we paid for, now let's tweak it, and thanks for the foundation.
Yeah. Don't you have it on the Google Doc?
No,
I thought I saw it.
did I?
I thought you did.
You did, but I couldn't open it.
I didn't see,
That
You said
was for
some-
you to respond to.
But I don't think this is.
No, she sent something out.
You said something, but I couldn't open it.
Can you airdrop yours to me?
Well, let's see.
Can you airdrop yours to me? I don't know if I've got the same one as you, or the same version as you.
And me too. Am I close enough?
Let me see if I'm,
I am pissed about my binder. I wrote notes on it and everything.
yeah, so the one I have is from February, the one you have is from April.
Oh, okay.
So yours is a little bit newer. Okay, thank you.
And
can't believe a couple old guys just did that.
I never noticed that. Look at that.
Oh, yeah, no, that's all.
Sure.
Okay, so it opens, but it doesn't show anything.
I didn't look at the pictures.
I just caught that.
So,
Whose that
It shows
is.
the graphics, it shows the words.
That's,
This is just a question.
Okay.
Since we're not quite there on Google Docs yet, would you consider making that note changes tonight, and then
Yeah, because it's not.
we can work off your working copy?
Yeah, yeah.
It's in your March 10th packet if you have that.
Yeah, we all have it, I just want to make changes to the same document rather than all of us making
I'll
around.
see if I can fix the Google Doc also.
So for tonight, are you okay with that, Debbie, just
Yeah.
tonight? Okay, so Debbie's gonna make the changes and...
Oh.
If, or even note that we want to come back and massage it more.
Yeah,
But
whatever,
if we don't know the
Let's not
exact
use the word
wording we want.
massage.
What?
Let's not use the word massage.
Okay.
Yeah, that don't fit me.
Cats and, no, I can't use cats and,
Mine's more like strikes.
Just
destroy? Yes.
a lot of fun.
Yes. Add greater fidelity?
Yeah,
That was for Chris. Yeah,
well, I'm sure.
buzzword bingo. Okay, I guess we start with A brief synopsis?
Yep.
It was a long sunny day.
Okay, and this isn't a specific change, but it's the overall tone. And I questioned Lisa when she first presented. I feel the general plan is relying too much on agriculture to provide everything for the county.
Great.
To provide the...
Walking lanes on the side of the street.
The rural atmosphere, the open space. So where it says agricultural identity, I want to...
What page is that on?
The brief
Page
synopsis.
8.
It's a
Right
very-
there.
I don't know what, it's the very first...
This right in this.
A brief synopsis is the very first thing. Lance had it moved to the front instead of the back on the new.
Can I throw 2 cents in right quick?
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, everything I read for it, you could just take number 2 right there and scratch the whole thing right out of here.
What
Yeah,
does number 2 say?
that's the agricultural identity.
Protect agriculture for its
Because
value.
As a value for its livelihood?
everything in here that I read goes back to that, and then I'll show you a thing here that I just noticed. I'm on my high horse if you want.
Okay.
That is garbage. Okay, because all this here is doing is showing what we want Morgan to look like and what everybody sees and wants, which to me, that's what I like.
Didn't you build that house?
I did.
Yeah.
That's what, I find it registered
fine
what it
house,
was.
a fine
okay?
home, yep.
But here's a nice home, it's out in a field, okay? There's nobody around them, and that's what we're depicting. But everything you read doesn't do that right there.
So there's a disconnect, right? I agree.
And so, when I read through all this, the more I read, the madder I got. And I think you could scratch the agriculture out because that's not what they're trying to do with this general plan. They're gonna get rid of that look there of that home. They're gonna get rid of the agricultural with what's in this general plan. And I'll voice it for me, and I haven't had anybody yet will go against what I say, but Milton will be totally against most of what's in here. So that's
Okay,
my take.
I'll make a note.
I had it read it out
Okay.
on the
So-
Google Doc.
So,
Okay.
you're working the Google Doc now, okay.
Is that working now?
It's, I think because it's a PDF and it exported it to a Word document, it's a little off.
Okay.
So I'll see if I can get
Okay.
the Word version so that we can hopefully work better on it.
What does our existing general plan say about agriculture? It talks about preserving,
Right here.
Or protecting, I mean,
protecting agriculture.
But it's in every one of our staff reports we get. It talks about that.
But it's not this. I think this is a pretty big departure from what we currently have, right? Because this to me, I'm just agreeing with what you said.
I don't have a problem with agriculture being mentioned, but I don't like the whole general plan is being based solely on the back of agriculture. That they have to provide the atmosphere, the open space,
The trails.
the what?
The trails.
The trails.
Well, but the thing is where else are you gonna get it from?
Correct.
So that's to me is the dilemma is everything that they're trying to do has to come from that agricultural atmosphere.
But
That's
Why
what's
can't it
there.
come from the developments?
But
Like,
Right.
Where's the development gonna come from?
No, but from the
eventually
ag
it's gonna come
land.
From ag.
It's coming from ag.
We need to specify what we want those developments to look like. When ag transitions out, what do we want it to look like? We don't want cookie cutter half-acre lots. So what do we want? What tools do we need?
Well, and I guess that's part of me is, in my opinion, there's no affordable housing. So you can take that one and throw it right out the window because it's not there. So you want to do the all this
Multifamily.
density, whatever, go over there and buy one of those townhomes behind Tractor Supply. You call that affordable housing?
The only thing is we're required by code to have affordable housing in our general plan, so somehow we have to address it. And get it in there.
That's in the code?
Uh-huh. You have to address affordable.
Yeah, but what does affordable housing mean?
Exactly. It's defined,
As
and it's non-affordable.
I'm talking about median income and within, I don't know the definition.
How do you do that? Go pay $400,000 for a little townhome right there.
I know.
I can tell you in Morgan County, we do not have any affordable housing.
Right.
Trailer park is the only affordable housing, and it's almost not
Well,
affordable.
by definition to the state code, a $400,000 home would be affordable housing.
Even though we
So
don't.
it's a really stupid term because
It is,
it implies that, apartment complex.
But it takes at least two people working to afford that if they can afford it. So.
But that's the state's definition.
And I'm not arguing that. My argument is, and I think you can go to Ogden, wherever you want, it's the same thing. It costs you just as much to live down there as it does here.
It's
Our
crazy
median
everywhere.
income is higher.
What's that?
Our median income is higher in the county.
So our
So our affordable
housing would be.
housing is here. Whereas if you go to.
But that's the problem. You're talking about affordable housing. So you're taking it based on that. They're talking about a level down here that can't afford what you can.
I'm just saying I understand that, that's what the state definition just says.
I know
That's all
it.
we're saying is that.
But far as for me, you take state, let's face what reality is with this. To me, that's what we're up against. I could care less about what the state says, what anybody else says. Let's face what reality is, and let's deal with reality. What do we do to make it work for Morgan County? So that's everything I read through this. I mean, I just like, and I mean, I know they spent months and months and months on it, but I was like.
That doesn't make it good though, that's not.
It does not fit to me why people want to move to Morgan. What you're putting here destroys Morgan. So I'm pretty well, to me, you could take that first chapter and just scratch the whole thing and write it again.
We may.
All right, we'll take that down as a note.
Okay.
I don't disagree. I just, someone's got to find the time to do this. Anyway.
Well, I know I'm dying.
It's,
because I got in my mind that thing that we went through here a few years ago for however long.
Let's just forget about it.
Well, I know, but that's what's staring me in the face right here.
See us, that
Yeah.
that baby.
Okay, I have.
But let's address it because let's not try and figure out how we're gonna do it. Let's just figure out what our recommendations are because there might be some options. We might be able to find a subcontractor to go through and make our changes for us. Who knows, right?
My question is, it's the cart before the horse thing that we already talked about. And we can go through this and make all of our changes and then have our area meetings and have to go back and change it again. So what about having an
area meetings?
Area meetings plus one person or representative from each area that's not us.
Well, two of them are already paid for another way. Peterson and Mountain Green.
Yeah, but then have people from those area meetings go through this.
So kind of like do what we did at the 5-year refresh. So like you could do Stoddard. I mean, you could host a meeting and.
Well, yeah, for the area meetings.
Yeah, but for the area meetings and then take the feedback from the area meetings. Maybe have one representative from each area go through this, make changes or whatever.
As an advisory committee.
As an advisory committee, and then when they have their final product, then we go over it. That's an option. Again, timeline is going to be really long, but we should do it right.
It's supposed to last 10 years, so
really need to do it right. Yeah, and these next 10 years are going to be crucial.
Brutal.
Well, they are because.
Brutal.
But this is what is going to make it brutal. I mean, if you want to open it up the way that this, to me, is wanting to do, you're going to make it brutal for you. And in 10 years, the reason you come to Morgan, you just will leave because you kissed it goodbye.
So what I hear you saying,
Haley, I only had one problem with doing the area plans before the general plan is then it's hard to do a general plan because there's so many different area plans. You're not working together as a community, where a general plan would kind of start high level and then you could work your way down. That's the only problem I'd have, starting with the area plans first. But I do understand what you're saying. I mean, the areas are going to know what they want to do. And,
But what their goals,
yeah, but it'd just be difficult to establish a general plan for the whole county.
Which comes first, the chicken and the egg, huh?
but we could, I think it's good to start working with the area plans now. Maybe we can then dovetail it together. And mainly
Well,
area
like-
plans deal with the maps,
Or I think
Future
maybe
land
the
use
area
maps.
should be in charge of some goals too. Like, what are the top 3 goals for this area? And then if we look around all the areas and there's some commonalities, and that's one of the goals for the county. And, I don't know.
but yeah.
Here we are again, still at this thing.
But Desi's right, because I think of Milton and I think of Peterson. We'll have different goals, and then in Croydon. I mean,
Yeah, right. What do you do with Croydon?
these different communities have such an identity.
Large animal feedlots.
Yeah, there we go.
But the other thing is whatever you do in Mountain Green affects what you do in Croydon.
It sure does.
Or vice versa. Right now, you're a county, so you're this. And you can start splitting off areas, whatever, but all it does is move from one area to, okay, now we gotta move to this area, and then you're just gonna move it till it gets to Croydon.
Yeah.
Right. And I know Mountain Green's not, because basically this general plan says growth will be in Morgan City and Mountain Green. I know the people in Mountain Green are saying, now, hey, wait a minute. We've done our fair share. And Morgan City's saying the same thing. I've heard them. They've had theirs presented, and they're saying the same thing. Say, wait a minute. This isn't what we wanted. We want open space. And they asked, where is our open space? That was asked to the group. And they said, your open space is out in the county. That's what they told the residents of Morgan City.
And
Who's they?
The general plan people.
Oh.
To me, I die every time someone comes in from Mountain Green, because I think, what's that gonna look like when you drive through that canyon? You know, you drive through that canyon, you see this pretty nice valley, and I'm gonna see multi-story homes and people packed on top of each other. It's gonna be like looking out in Ogden when building a house, looking towards the lake, and all you see is rooftops, and boy, attractive. That's where we're headed.
But we have to figure out a way to deal with growth.
We don't have to do that, though.
We have to deal with growth.
well,
We have to deal with
specifically
growth.
how though?
Yeah, but-
Because Mountain Green is already planned. I mean,
Yes.
those homes are already there. They're already coming. It's just, there's not a whole lot more growth there. Applications like tonight for 6 places.
But still,
something like that.
this is a problem, okay? Mountain Green's almost there, so who's the next one?
Peterson.
Peterson.
Peterson,
You know, they're the next ones, and so you're just gonna move it, go down to Ogden, all right? And that used to be able to go to Syracuse, and you could fly out there. Yeah, I can get to Salt Lake quicker than I can out to Syracuse. And and all we're doing is we're going to take all this agriculture land and we're gonna go whook. And that's what's happening there. And so if that's what you want, then good.
Well, but specifically how? I'm curious what you see in this plan.
I don't know, because to me, they're talking about all these bike trails. Everything they talk about is for the growth that's coming in. All right? One of the things that just absolutely drove me nuts reading through it is that we got to maintain the bike trails. That if they get a pothole in it, we got to go fill it. We don't even take care of our own roads, let alone the bike trails, so the biker don't go tumbling. I just don't see a lot of I see a bike trail that you want to put in, You think they're gonna ride the bike trail, or are they gonna ride Morgan Valley Drive?
They're still gonna ride the road.
The ones that's gonna ride the bike trails, maybe those who are living here that wanna just go for a little jaunt, you
Not
know?
a serious cycle.
I don't see the stuff in here practical to the lifestyle of Morgan County, unless you wanna change it.
My only concern is we have to deal with growth, and my concern is if we don't deal with growth, the state, the legislature will start taking over the planning and zoning of Morgan County. So we don't want that, so we want,
How?
how?
Like, what do you mean by if we don't deal with it, they'll deal with it? Like, how are,
If we don't have regulations, it'll default to their regulations, and theirs are a lot less restrictive.
But
And
growth is here, so we have to deal with it, and if they
But it's-
perceive that we're not, they will take over.
I guess part of what I really struggle with the growth is it's all based on money. And that, it pads somebody's pocket in a sense, for them to come. So here we're gonna change it so someone can sell their ground and pad their pocket with the developer is gonna come in, whatever, and do that. And so then the next breath, the Great Salt Lake is being drained because we don't have any water going into it. We continually drain our resources because we let the growth.
So I don't disagree with what you're saying.
I'm just
trying to figure out what do we do here. I don't see a whole lot in here other than the whole first part is very triggering to me because it sets up this kind of utopian philosophy, and then the rest of it is just the general plan with some maps and saying, you know, this is kind of already where the future land use map says, and you know what I mean. It just kind of talks in general terms about, you know, you got this tiny valley, and the only way you can, you know, the only place you can put homes in these areas. So the rest of the plan is kind of generic, but it, like you, I've struggled getting past the concept in the beginning, which is like this foundational
but
vision.
that's what you're starting with, and you're starting to
I agree
base
with
it.
it.
So
What do we do about it? That's what I'm wondering.
Until you change that first chapter, I'll be for fighting with it, because I don't like the tone of it at all.
So I don't want to dismiss you guys being able to talk as well, but my thoughts, I think I told you guys last time, if this came before me right now and I had to vote, I would not vote in favor of adopting this. My recommendation would be to do the area plans before we even look at this. I don't like it. I don't like the vision. I don't think it lines up with everything that we've seen and heard over these past 8 years. The other problem I have, though, is that it really doesn't matter. None of that. It is the foundation. It is the starting point. But then the rest of it doesn't give us any way to get there anyway. It's just this. It's like a romance novel or something. You know, it opens up with all these. I just don't like it. I don't know where it came from. I don't know if. Anyway, so I'm with you. That's where I'm at now. What we agreed to do last time, or a couple times ago, was to just start going through it and say, well, what can we do with this?
And so that was the thing. I read through this, and
I don't know what to do with it. What's Morgan City like right now with it? Are they moving it along?
They're just beginning. The planning commission just has it. They had their meeting, their meeting or meeting before that, where it was presented to them. And I know that they had quite a few concerns with the density that was being proposed, dumped on them. So.
You know, the funny thing about the area plans, I kind of reviewed Croydon's, and it was, I think 1997 was the last time. And nothing's changed much, not a whole lot since then. We're still complaining mostly about the same things, but...
But here's the problem I've got. I understand you're both of the positions, but the problem I have with not having an area plan approved is that area plan isn't approved. It's nothing.
Right.
It's not part of the general plan. So until the ideas and the concepts from that get incorporated into this document, then this document doesn't support the people of Croydon.
Yeah, even the members, there's probably only like 2 or 3 that are still there.
So the people of
I think all the general plans or area plans, whatever, should be part of the general plan. That
We should
ought
have
to-
different sections for each
Exactly.
area.
That
Hands
should,
down, I agree with
that should be, Milton has an area in here, Croydon has an area in here, Peterson has an area in here, and then you try to mesh it all so that it's a, I don't want to see one area be the one that's affected. You know, that we pinpoint boom here, and then we're going to pinpoint boom here, you know, and I'm not a planner, I don't understand how to do all that stuff. There's so many logistics with all of it. But if I've always felt like soon as you let something go, then you're done, you know.
I just have a question. So, are you against like higher density because that's not the way of working? I just want to make sure I'm understanding.
So for me, okay, everything we talk about is rural Morgan. I can't ever say the word.
Rural's hard to say.
Hey.
Rural.
I can't say it.
That's another word.
You call it. Everything we
Yes.
talk about is that. To me, as I read this first chapter, it takes away from that, and it's turning us to be urban. Okay?
It seems like a bait and switch. It seems like we're saying this, but the policies.
And that's why I showed you that picture, okay? Because that picture's showing you the rural, you know, but you're gonna throw high-density housing or whatever in here, that's not that picture.
I don't think it's just Member Stevens either. If you look at the comments, like in the appendices from the people who did join in, there's a lot of trepidation from just the people that are already here. They don't want to see things growing up the hillside and, you know, fourplexes on every corner.
Well, and they did, like, from the February to the April draft, they took out a lot of stuff because we had a lot of people coming in, making those complaints of having the higher density in Milton or in the Littleton area, and they didn't want to see that, so they did remove that, and now we're basically, as far as the map goes, back to what
We were before.
already existed, or it's already existing.
It's not just like Milton, it's the people in Mountain Green show up to all the meetings saying they don't want higher density than what they're seeing.
Yeah, they haven't shown up, as far as I'm aware, they haven't shown up to any meeting.
I'm just talking in general, like our,
Mountain Green has shown
Oh,
up.
sorry,
every meeting.
You're here at every meeting, so.
But what they did was, between those meetings, they took and they said, okay, nobody wants to see the brook here. Everything needs to go into Mountain Green. And they didn't look at what was already platted for Mountain Green. That's the comment I made every time. They didn't look at what was already platted out for Mountain Green. The town center, the Rome district, Wayne Johnson's property. That's going to have
Yeah, it's already done. It's already, the homes just aren't there yet.
So the
It's already
growth has been
approved.
accommodated for already. We don't need to multiply that out tenfold on the edges.
Well said.
I have a question for Shane. When the ag person is done, how do you plan for the transition from agriculture to what? It can't stay agriculture.
I have an input, sorry.
It can't stay agriculture. The price of ground now that is assessed as ag ground, there's no way you can buy that at that assessed price for ag and make a living off of it. So we've got to be realistic. How do we transition and what does it look like?
It looks like Malin's house, 5 acres. Not half-acre lots.
I love the one suggestion I heard that made me really think was, okay, one of the biggest problems we have in the county is that people own agricultural land, they've owned it for a long time, they want to subdivide and build for their kids. I know there's always a risk that someone else is going to come in and buy it and all that, but we don't have anything in our code or in our general plan or in our vision or whatever that says, all right, if the 20 acres you have is no longer viable, then you can put 4 homes on it. You know, know, it's A20, you can put 4 homes on it, cluster it, let your family live in the little subdivision on there.
That's what the Crowther lady said,
Yeah.
that they do up in
Wyoming.
Wyoming.
Mhm. I mean, that would be a problem to solve for me. I mean, I hear it constantly, that people just want, and you want to build affordable housing? Well, then don't build that beautiful home that you built.
But it's supply and demand on affordable
No, I'm
housing,
saying,
yeah.
if I had this problem, I wanted my kids to stay here, and I owned the land, there's no mechanism in our code to allow me to take my piece of land and just put 4 homes on it, and then let me build some 1,100 square foot homes.
But this is the problem you got, and I don't know how you fight it, okay? But at one time, you would buy on agricultural land, okay, you'd buy your building lot. So you'd pay building price lot for the first acre, and then you'd pay farming for the other, that. Go buy 20 acres now.
$1 million.
And you pay each acre as a building lot.
That's what it's assessed at for agriculture.
Yes, and so I don't.
But by taxes or what? What are you talking about? Okay.
Our county assessor, yes.
Anybody who sells ground now.
But this is a holistic problem.
Since they're not in Greenville.
Why can't we?
What's that?
Why can't we address those things?
And they're going to be
We own the
assessed
code.
at
We
the
own
full
tax.
buildable value, but.
But even if you have ground in Greenbelt or whatever,
The taxes are lowered, but,
I'm not talking about taxes.
yeah, I'm talking about value.
I'm talking about when you go to sell.
Right.
So the market's killing us.
So what if it's yours and you want to give it to your kids?
Well, that's completely different. You can do that.
Not right now.
No,
See-
not under our current code.
Not under our current
What
code.
do you mean? Yes, you can. You can subdivide.
No, not unless you have the zoning changed.
Yeah, no, yeah,
Because
yeah.
of the future land use map.
Well, there are places, and that's what I'm bringing up. What type of subdivision? It needs to be a type of subdivision when ag ground converts that maybe has 60% open space.
But-
I mean, you start putting, I don't know what you want to call that type of, we don't have that mechanism. We don't have that tool
No,
right now to be
no,
able
we
to do
don't.
that.
And we wouldn't approve it because it's not consistent with the general plan.
But it
Because
can,
it's
right.
A20. That's what I think one of the things that needs to change, is our vision needs to change to, hey, we want to, one of our primary goals is to make it affordable for the families that are already up here to keep their families up here. That should be a goal.
Well, and I wish, I probably shouldn't say this, but I wish there was some way, and I liked what Clay said, and that, just for the sense of, why can't we make it to help those who live here stay here? Why do we have to chase
That's what I
them
just
out?
said. That's what I meant, yeah.
Yeah, why do we have to chase them out, and then we make it, and please don't take offense, I don't object anybody moving to Morgan,
Yeah, I've been here almost 10 years.
There's a lot of people that's moved into, they're great people, but sometimes it seems like that's what gets catered to.
But you have to be careful.
I know you do.
What he was suggesting is a violation of the Constitution. You can't say, oh, because your family is
No.
from here, we're going to allow you to do this.
Yeah.
But we can't let someone else that
But if
moves
we
and
all-
buys the ground do the same thing.
That's true, but if we all agree on that, then why can't our vision be that? And then we develop ways to get there, rather than our
But
vision.
where are your kids going? Okay, those that don't own ground, where are your kids going to go if you want them to stay here? It's got to be on somebody's ground.
He's gonna live in his basement.
No,
You had to go there.
already there.
But that's where your affordable housing's gonna come.
I agree, and so another thing that really was highlighted in this is accessory dwelling units. I think it's a solution to keep our families here. Why can't we? I mean, I know there's restrictions and there's concerns, but why can't I build an accessory dwelling unit on my property and get my kids out of my basement into a garage apartment? I mean, the world is changing.
Baby steps, right?
On that note, I have had quite a few people over the last couple months call me asking about accessory dwelling units.
Detached ones.
Detached, yeah.
Yeah, and to be honest, that is a great idea in my eyes. I'm not a planner, obviously, I'm secretary lady, but I mean, I've gotten multiple people, and it's been
Then
very frequent.
why isn't that one of our goals? And it's not your fault, but I'm just saying, but why is our goal community character and all this other stuff, and then there's nothing that really addresses the real problems we're having and what we really see? I see in Morgan where our families can stay here. We can afford to live in our own county. We're not encouraging landowners to put multifamily, multi-dwelling units, I mean, we're literally encouraging that behavior. But.
I kind of have maybe a skewed view, maybe an unpopular opinion about the affordable housing. Like, I moved away and like me and Jake had to sacrifice to be where we're at. Mm-hmm. Like, we bought a piece of crap house, redid the entire thing, like we made sacrifices. And so part of me is like, why is it the responsibility of the county to provide affordable housing when people that are my age or younger just expect to have what their parents have? Like, that's not the step. And maybe it's because of the way that I was raised, but that's not the steps of, you don't just get whatever your parent has when you're 20 and they're 60 years old, they've been working their whole life.
Oh, come on now. You're talking, come talk to my kid.
Well, like, I just feel like people aren't realistic about what they can actually afford. And I don't think that it's all an affordable housing issue. I think it's, you just want everything right now.
No, and I think, and Alec, you can help, you guys can both help. The trigger word there is affordable housing. It's not accurate.
It's not.
It's not what.
But we have to address it.
But even so, a $400,000 house, there aren't that many.
It's not low income housing.
Well, there aren't that many jobs in Morton County itself, and so you're saying we have to put up affordable, or we don't have to put it up ourselves, but we have to support affordable housing, but we're not really a commuter community, for Ogden and whatnot. I mean, at the affordable level. I mean, people who are making more money, because, I mean, let's face it, going through the canyon in the winter sucks. I mean, if you have to work a 9-to-5 job, driving that canyon sometimes, how many cars are you going to drive past that are racked up on the side of the road?
Well, if they would just slow down.
But
slicks, but
my thing for that is slow down.
Yeah.
I mean, I've gone through that canyon for years, and I've had cars piled behind me, and I don't care. You go right ahead and pass me if you want to pass.
Yeah, but if you're making $40,000 or $50,000 a year trying to drive that canyon, I mean, number one, the gas prices and whatnot are probably going to preclude you from, even if we have affordable housing out here, from wanting to make that commute every day. We don't have public transportation. So it's like the state imposed this solution on us, but they didn't look at what the problem is in Morgan County. Morgan County, affordable housing doesn't fit here because we don't have the job base for affordable housing.
Can I read the definition?
Okay.
Let me read the definition. I really think it changes everything. As used in this part, affordable housing unit means a rental housing unit where a household whose income is no more than 50% of the area median income for households where the housing unit is located is able to occupy the housing unit paying no more than 31% of the household's income for gross housing costs, including utilities. So the median income for Morgan County is like,
that was like 86 grand.
We're the second highest, I think.
It's pretty high.
63,856. That was the last general plan.
Yeah, that's
it's on higher.
It's just under 100K.
So Gary, here's your next thing with what you're at, okay? Go rent your house to live in.
Right. So what the state is saying is that you have to address it, not that you have to carve out an area where.
But this goes back to the whole issue you're fighting with, okay? Go rent a house to live in, just a small home, and it's going to cost you $2,500.
No, I know, I get it. I'm just saying the state says you got to address your code.
And it's supply and demand, though. The supply's not there. That's why the prices are so high.
But that's
but you don't want the supply.
Have none, done.
No, you can't say that.
No more than 31% of half of the median income.
Right.
Okay, so half the median income is 50, 31% of that is 15 grand divided. So you're talking $1,200 or $1,300 a month for, is what they're saying.
For rental.
For rental.
For rental. So if somebody can afford a $1,200 or $1,300, and that's all they can afford because that's 31%, are they going to be spending the $10 a day to commute in and out of the canyon, just going to the Ogden side, because that's what it's going to run them?
No, but they might live in Morgan and work at...
We don't have that many jobs here. So that says 20% of the housing on this side needs to be...
So, I live in the city. I work obviously here. I do not meet the even the wages to afford an affordable house. So I barely make enough to afford because I live in the trailer court, and I barely make enough to afford my trailer on top of my lot rent.
So, but what this is saying is that 20% of the people, or 20% of the housing units need to be affordable, which is that's a really...
And it said 50% of the median.
Where'd you read that?
Right, adjusted gross income is the affordable housing, right? So $50,000.
20% of the housing units are affordable housing units.
I don't even meet that.
In subparagraph 2. Yeah, so...
I don't even meet that requirement, 50% of the median.
Right, but but what I'm saying is if we have 20% of the available housing units, which is what there are, it just says housing units, there aren't 20%, if you know, what's our, how many houses do we have here now? 40-something hundred?
Somewhat.
Yeah.
In the county?
Yeah.
Somewhere, I would.
8,000?
There's a lot.
4. There's about 4,000.
Yeah, let's just say 4,000.
12,000.
They're saying 20% of those housing units need to be 1,300, yeah, that's what they're saying, is they're saying 20% of those housing units need to be $1,300 a month or less to rent, which is a lot of housing units.
A total of 16, I can tell you that right off the bat. We have 16 housing units in the Morgan County that meet that requirement. The rest of them are 1,800 plus.
2 of them are on South Lane.
Yep.
See, I would think that's the whole thing about it, you know, you talk like with Bailey and the trailer court or whatever, the reality of it, she's probably cheaper there than if she went and rented someplace.
Oh, yeah.
3 years
They're
ago,
saying
that wouldn't
that
have been the case.
No,
3
but
years
it is
ago, I
now.
could afford to
Okay,
rent
that's a
the,
lot.
No, that's
now
not what, the
unaffordable.
requirement.
See, and that's what bothers me with the accessory units. I see that as a way for someone to do this, to make the payment for this great big house that they just built.
Bailey has a job here, but all the other jobs.
What's that?
The townhomes behind
It'll never
Tractor
happen.
Supply and the ones that are going in.
The state requirement is that we
That's
just
what's gonna happen
have a
is
plan.
people are gonna buy those and rent them.
Our plan is
And
good.
they're gonna become their income.
Yes.
It's not
Have
gonna be
land people can buy
something
and
that
build
somebody
with
can
them.
purchase
One afford to
and buy for themselves. They're all gonna be rentals.
And how do we can't control that,
No, we
right?
can't.
How do we?
We don't have to do this. Help me out. The state, I think the state just requires us to address it.
It has to be addressed in the general plan.
In the general plan. It doesn't say you gotta zone this piece of property and that you have to build the homes. It doesn't say that. It just says the plan.
How.
Our plan, right, but our plan could be, and likely is, that we already have, help me with this, but land that's zoned that people could buy and build these things on. You're welcome to do it. Nobody would because you would make a profit.
Yeah.
We're not attracting any slumlords. They're just not.
See, I guess that's why, to me, come to a reality of what we got, it's here, you know? I know that you have state code and everything else, but let's talk about Morgan.
Right, but the affordable housing, I just wanted to kill it because it's just like, hey, we gotta mention it, whatever.
Well, it ain't gonna happen.
So, right, it's never gonna happen, you're right.
Yeah.
We have a requirement by code to have it in here, and that's why it's in there. I just don't want it to be like, we
But see,
shouldn't really
like
talk
Tina
about
said,
it.
right, so what type they're saying, that's in the Mountain Green area, so.
Right. All right, so we
So-
are absolutely
so it
no
is.
further along.
No, we're not.
He made 0 progress.
Sorry, it's my fault.
No.
This is good.
It's good because
discussion.
I think we actually have made progress in that none of us like the foundation of this general plan. So I think our general comment over the first, I think we've successfully gotten through one. Hear me out. Our comment is that it doesn't address the real problems that we're facing. So, which you said it best, or you repeated it. Basically, what are we doing to protect the current residents, right? And their interests and their ability to live here and thrive, and shouldn't that be a focus?
Yeah, I guess I'm the odd man out.
No, you can be. I mean, that's why there's 7.
Because
it's odd.
all the current people that are here that you say you don't want it to change, the fact that you are here, you changed the
Not all the
community.
current people.
You changed the community. When you were born here, you changed the community. We all changed the community, so we can't say we don't want change.
But
We want to say, how are we going to change? what is acceptable? We like this lifestyle.
What's the best way?
I don't disagree with you. All I'm saying, just to clarify my point, and I'll shut up. My point is that we have actual problems that I have listened to for almost 8 years, and not one of them is addressed in the vision for Morton County.
Okay.
That's
here,
what,
yeah.
I'm not saying, us four and no more and shut the gates. I'm not taking that position.
You can't do that, and there's no way that you can lock and shut people from coming.
No,
It's not
not
gonna
saying that
happen.
at all. I'm just saying that
But you don't have
these
to
don't
promote
address the
it,
real problems that I see.
No,
and that's what this is doing.
but you have to, again, you have to address it, because we have an aging ag community, and there's going to be a transition, so how is that transition going to happen, and what is it going to look like?
Are you
But
speaking from
this
experience?
is,
What?
Are you speaking from experience?
Okay, yeah.
No, I mean, that's a
No.
good point. I mean,
Well,
that's-
We're
what are you gonna do?
We're getting old. I mean, how,
you have the older generation dying out.
Yes,
And now you
we are.
got all the kids that's getting the ground, and most of them haven't stuck around to farm it. They don't want anything
or
to
they
do
can't
with
afford,
it.
they can't afford to farm
Most of
it,
them don't want to farm
or
it.
can't, well,
Most of them don't want to. It's work.
it is, yeah.
Yeah, they don't want it, okay?
A lot of work.
There's typically one or
No
two in the
investment.
family that wants it, the rest of them want the money. So that's my observation over most of them, okay?
It's just not profitable, yeah.
Yeah, so the farmer is a dying breed. That's fine. But what I see is you're taking us from agriculture and you're going like a 180 to the other end.
Right,
And we don't want to do that.
and that's what I'm saying, is how do we transition, what does it look like? We don't want townhomes
No.
in Milton, and I understand that.
But I don't think, I mean, you say Milton, Milton's because they're the ones that come out after you if you do anything, but I don't think a lot of them in Porterville want it. I think you can move around. They don't want that everywhere.
No, but in some areas, it's probably more appropriate,
The town centers, which is
or village
here.
centers. But not, I don't consider Milton the village center. I mean, I want to throw that out there.
Where the center
Or Stoddard, but
It's the horse park.
Horse Park, yeah,
That's the village.
that's the village center, yeah.
So you want to maintain not a lot of agriculture because of the new generation that's not going to want to do that. You want more open space and green space, right? Like if that's your aim, that's what we're going to.
Right, and so how do you get that with it when it's not agriculture? So we've got to come up with a plan.
Well, what about like cluster?
Plus, right,
What Nelton, when he was proposing, I think something like that would
Yeah.
be great. And I think that's a good middle ground, make the transition.
This is the problem you fight with clustering.
There's not a lot of buildable space, though.
Is clustering, all it does is it's one step closer to the density. Okay?
Yeah.
Because you take right there, that house right there, all right? And then there, I mean, there's gonna be, eventually, there could be 4 homes back in there. Whoops, sorry.
That's gonna be loud in my ears.
I'm waiting now.
But they're okay, because if everybody builds there, it's gonna be family, and they can run the ground and take care of it. So you start clustering homes, and you maintain the open space, and you give them 5-acre lots, and to maintain that extra 4.5 acres is an absolute nightmare.
you can't do it, they become weedettes.
They do, because it's not cost effective for you at all. It'll cost you more money to raise crops on the 4 acres than it would to go and buy it. You know, unless either you gotta buy the equipment or you gotta pay someone to come in and do it, and you're in trouble. So when you start clustering, the principle behind it is I don't mind it, but I don't like the reality of it, because someone's gonna say this is too much, so all of a sudden now they're wanting to be in for a rezone because that's too much.
I remember when the applicant from Ranch Road, I forgot exactly what they're doing, I think it was a rezone, just up over here across from Round Valley, just talking about, they've got the farm, the family farming, and they've got that cluster, that exactly what you're talking about, and then she just made the offhand comment of, I'm not sure how much longer that's going to last. Because at a certain point, it just doesn't it isn't feasible anymore.
But what's happening now is not feasible. So, I mean,
Oh, absolutely.
Well, but if there was some sort of like HOA or something like that, that's kind of like he was suggesting for his fund, right? For Middleton was. And I think, I mean, that could help a little bit, because if you had just have 4 people on their own, just taking turns taking care of the extra acres. Like, yeah, they're gonna be tired of it, but I don't know. What do you think about that? Maybe like a subdivision, but it looks different.
But that would be, I mean, it would be hard to define that. I mean, how do you, you know, in most cases, the applicant they do it on their own, we don't have anything in the code, so, and so we would have to do, you know, a code amendment. I mean, I think that's one possible solution, for sure. But
See,
Just something to consider.
yeah, no, it's good.
And I don't mind the idea of 5-acre lots, don't get me wrong in that regard. I don't have a problem so much with it. I just don't know how you take care
no.
of it.
And I don't think planners, that sprawl, you're stretching out your infrastructure for fewer homes on 5-acre parcels. So it's if you start doing the economics of it, it just doesn't work. Because the county would have to maintain all that road for 3 homes.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you end up having to have private roads and they have to maintain them. But then, that's a whole nother issue, right?
Why do I feel like we're having the initial general plan discussion?
exactly. Why, we should have been, all along, this whole procedure, we should have been brought into it, and we're having this discussion with the people doing the general plan, so they knew our thinking and where we wanted to go,
Yeah, like
instead of having it flop down in front of us.
Do chapter 1 and let's go through it and
Yes.
fix it before
Yes.
we move on.
Exactly.
Because now
It's overwhelming for
It
one.
is, it's really overwhelming, but we did it.
I've said too much.
Well, I think, just to keep the meeting moving along, I think we've accomplished our discussion on number 1, on the first part. I'm sorry, didn't get to your goal. We got about halfway through the first part, and we have some good notes and
Not
takeaways.
even chapter 1.
Huh?
Yeah, we did.
But what
But I
about,
think it's important.
but what about the area plan? I think we want to do the area plan, so how do we
Come
start?
first.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's get,
So why don't we set dates by the time that we should have area plan meetings and I've never done an area plan before, like what needs to be included in an area plan? Where's that checklist?
I think you just start with the one that you have for
Have.
the area and then update it. Whatever,
Okay.
people know what they want.
Last
so
time we
it's-
did it, we made a motion, we said, you're gonna head up the area plan, and we at least got that going kind of as a charter, and then we just kept it on the agenda to say, okay, what are the dates for the area plan? You can give yourself however many months, you know what I mean? We've already got one at Mountain Green, so I've got an out, you've already got one, you've got an out.
going in Peterson.
But that doesn't mean we can't come and help you guys, facilitate meetings.
Well, then I would like to go to someone's to watch first before I have one.
And it doesn't involve staff, so don't worry, each area plan, they'll have a secretary that'll take the notes and they'll type it up and that.
I know.
So,
I this is just food for thought for me. So your area plan and your area plan are funded
In the-
by grants, right?
yeah, and it's in the process.
So you have somebody coming in from the outside, helping you guys facilitate all this and do the meetings
Doing
and
it, they're
everything
doing
like
it,
that.
yeah.
I don't know,
So, just from my thought is, I know you guys want to do the area plans all right now and get them done with, but why not try and get grants so that you can get that professional there to help you facilitate the meetings, much like the Peterson and Mountain Green area, so that it can be done right.
but I don't know.
So I get that. My question is, why? Because look at what we got when we already hired it out.
And I
don't know how to write
I want to
one.
mention something about that after the meeting's over.
But, okay. But I think Haley can head it up, and she just starts it, and you can assign a chair.
Plus you already have a draft already.
You got a draft, you're gonna update it.
We just want to have
You
an
can strike
official
things out,
look through, hey, this is what we got, what do we want to change?
See, I'm
have
just
someone
gonna-
else chair
I'm
it.
just gonna take like my area And so like around here is RR1, this area is RR5, this one's A20, whatever. And then you just go through and you let them talk about what they're wanting to change.
Yeah.
And then maybe ask them, what are your priorities? Like what, and then we could wrap all those priorities together and say, well, now this is a more accurate picture of what everybody wants for the county.
I heard that Stoddard's not in the area plan. Have we decided that's true or no?
No, I think they're with North Morgan.
They're kind of, they had a village center, it's where Hidden Hollow is, but they made it kind of like a semicircle and that was it, and they said, we're done. So it's not official, but I think it needs to be.
Oh, isn't it?
Well, doesn't Stoddard go in?
Stoddard has their own area plan.
To the border?
Yes, they do, but they weren't an official area by itself, but it kind of broke off.
Is it combined with Enterprise?
No, they
No.
went over,
No, it has its own.
they go over to the county,
Morgan.
don't they?
North Morgan, yeah.
To the city, North Morgan.
They
and
go to
then-
the city border.
And then they come down to wherever it hits for Enterprise on the old highway.
Right. And I thought it went to the River
Stoddard
Bridge,
Lane.
and then I thought it went to the river, and it should. Stoddard Lane should be part of Stoddard. No, you need to address it.
Haley, I will send you, each one of you, your respective area plans, so you can look.
Perfect.
Okay?
Okay. Okay.
But
That's
yeah,
the first step.
Okay, so what are we gonna do for our next meeting with this? Because we've talked about this for,
I think,
we're not going anywhere.
I think we're gonna
Table it,
sit it,
postpone it, whatever, till we
sit
get
on till we do
plans.
area plans.
Yeah, I think then the next thing is.
I've got a massive correction so we can all feel good about ourselves tonight. Snow basin's one word.
Yes.
Strangely enough, all the traffic signs have it as 2 words. It's 1 word. Go to their website.
Yeah, it is snow basin. Because it auto tries to, it identifies it when you do snow basin that it's
Right.
not a word.
And by the way, Taggart says
Oh,
Taggart
snow.
on the exit. It's like, no, it's Taggart.
So I think the next meeting is we start talking about setting up area plans.
And bring forward your ideas on how,
And then we put a charter together, we vote it, so we make motions, and we say, okay, you're gonna head up your area plan, ready to go.
Oh, we can't do that right now because it's not on the agenda, huh?
Right.
I don't know, it's a work session. Yeah, I think we should.
Okay, so fix it for the agenda, and then next meeting, then we can start moving on, getting the area plans.
And I think that's our focus for the summer is, not for me, because mine's paid for, but
you need to push it along or check on it. I don't say push along, but
we should have clearly all checked on this. Middle of a global pandemic and all that, but it was a little bit, it was, yeah, anyway. That's the plan, does that help you for next time? Happy, okay?
I'm good.
Work session.
I think Doug Brown was really involved with.
Doug
yours.
Kersley.
Yeah, but Doug Brown was also
Yeah, but-
involved with the area plan.
I know that
Doesn't
he
matter
was,
whether
and
I'm
Adriana
on.
Giles was the secretary, so
Mhm.
I'm gonna go talk
No,
to her
it's-
and figure out who was
We gotta,
all involved.
we gotta move on somehow.
When she sends it, it should have a list of all the
List of
names.
It's tough to move
Okay.
on.
Their name should be
Like
on
roast
the,
beef,
or at
it's
least
kinda
in
like this
Peterson
is
it
very
was, it listed all the,
Listed them.
A lot of farmers will dedicate their land to.
Yeah, I thought about getting some of those that was on it.
And then some new people.
some new ones too.
That's what I wondered, how do you determine
Well, the main
who's
thing,
going to be
it is.
involved?
you pick. That's how it was done before.
Well, that, and I think we just,
You have to ask for volunteers.
we just ask for volunteers and then work from there too.
And what people really want.
Cause I don't wanna pick
I don't wanna
so-and-so
handpick.
and then, yeah.
No, it needs, they need to.
That'll
be-
end up coming back to bite you.
And you want volunteers because then they're willing to do the work.
Yeah.
Well, but you don't want someone to feel
Nominees.
like that you were
Really?
selected
You were
on a certain
That
group.
was my question.
So if you guys can
Nice.
find out your area plan boundaries.
Nice idea.
Yeah.
I
Great
can do a list of all the
Tone it down to
addresses
something
within that
realistic,
area.
tangible.
And then you guys can send out a letter,
We can transfer
asking
the vision
for
into
input.
tangible results.
whether it be via a letter returned or whatever, to help get an idea of who wants to participate. Yeah, we can talk about them, or if you guys want to call me anytime.
Yeah. I mean, like I see, we're okay,
Yeah,
but
there's
the others, and happy to help.
All right, so we can move on to item 10 then, if everybody's happy with that. We'll transition that discussion. Business staff questions.
Hey, you guys have questions?
I have a question. I missed the joke maybe.
Well, just her. Just her.
Yeah,
She's the planner now.
So the conversation that me and you had the other day about why there wasn't a FLUMA request with application for number 6.
Yeah.
But, and then the decision was basically that small pieces of property could just be done without a FLUMA.
With just a reason, yeah.
Yeah. Why, okay, so I think here's where it gets sticky is, well, what if we do it for this property, but we don't do it for the next property? So would a better way to do that be, like if you are in R1 and the back of your property is A20 or a different zone, then like if you meet the frontage and the depth requirements, that we just pass it?
Or we write something into the code that says, don't come to us with this, just the code, the interpretation of the existing future land use map is that it's 240 feet from the
Yeah.
property line.
So we don't define tunnel zone in our definitions.
That's what we need to do, and then we'd never.
We need to call something else.
They wouldn't even call,
But,
they wouldn't even
yeah.
have to come in for an application for that.
So why don't, can we start that process, I guess?
Yes.
Because we've had a few in the last little bit.
I know,
that
we've had a lot.
Have had,
It's ridiculous.
had that.
Yeah. For them to have to
So
pay.
that's what we'd like to do. I know you got nothing else to do, but
Yeah.
our ask is, that was gonna be my point for the whole, this whole. was
That
to-
one you
can we
maybe ought
fix
to wait
this?
till they get a planner.
Probably get the county surveyor to help out.
Yes.
Well, just,
Yeah, because he's not busy doing
Yeah.
anything else. I mean, I called last week, couldn't get a hold of him. I called Monday,
I don't know,
and it
yeah,
took
honestly.
2 days for him to return my call.
who is it?
It's Entellus. They're based in Bountiful.
That's ours?
Uh-huh.
That's our county surveyor, yeah.
And he
That's the
reviews the
coverage.
plans, and he will do surveying up here, not for private individuals, but for,
He
on
does
behalf of the county.
surveying, so he's the one that actually surveyed the property up in Taggart's that had that dispute. I don't know if you heard about that. There was it's been on the news, so I guess it doesn't matter, right? There was a dispute with a property owner on where his property line was and the fence in UDOT right of way. So the county surveyor had to come out and actually survey that property to provide the proof that, no, it was not indeed this property owner's property, but UDOT's. And they, last week, I believe, tore down the fence.
And they-
2 weeks ago?
And he surveyed, and he also identifies the corners and sections,
Yes, the monuments and,
the cadastral mapping, but he doesn't do private
Cadastral mapping.
cadastral mapping.
Now I have my
Big
work for the
word.
night. Very good.
Big word, cadastral.
yeah,
Okay.
you know, they work with other places too, not just Morgan County, so.
So we're waiting, so are we gonna wait to get a planner to start
Probably
that?
for code.
Well, wouldn't
Can you-
it be easier for you, Bailey?
What's the
to have to deal with
limitation
that?
of what, are you just in like an advisory role, help us from being set on fire?
Yeah.
Okay.
Application, she's more helping us
I mean,
process
if you-
applications.
If you guys want to provide, because Debbie, you've written code, all of you guys have done code amendments, you kind of know what the idea is. If you guys want to provide a draft on what you want that code, I can notice it, I can advertise it, I can do all that.
Bobby McConnell
Okay.
had an idea.
Yeah, can I ask part 2 of this question? Where are we at with hiring a planner?
They offered a position, or they offered the job to someone and have not heard back, and
That still doesn't.
that was, they offered it beginning last week. And I don't think it's gonna happen. I believe he had 3 days to respond, and we haven't received a response, so it's most likely no.
Any other
They're
applicants?
headed down to Peter's.
They were kind of
They go all the way
relying
down.
on this person to say yes, because it was the second time he had an
By last
interview.
night.
Okay.
And then they have been interviewing for the planning director. So they've done 4 interviews last week.
I think when I was in here, yeah, someone was walking out, I think.
Yeah, I don't know the status on that, if they found one that they want to offer the position to or not,
Okay.
but
So the planning director, we had 4 interviews, so it's possible we might have someone soon. That's what I'm trying to gauge, like,
yeah, sooner than.
That would be nice.
I think we're treading water right now. I think we just.
I think you should wait.
Yeah.
It's not,
It's up to you guys.
it's not something that's that pressing.
Yeah, but we need to get it done.
Remember we used to have a work list?
Yep, parking lot.
This is the kind of thing, yeah, parking lot.
Okay. Yeah.
That's part of the minutes now, and
We've got awesome Alec over here. She's seriously been a big help for me.
You need a job?
She's got one, she's got one.
we can't pay much, and the community as
She
well.
she has watched how we operate.
But we'll
She's
have
thinking,
low-income
heck no.
housing for you.
But we have no affordable housing for you. Tempting?
Mark Miller would have your height.
I don't know.
She's not one
Do you work for Mark, or?
Thank you, Brian. I do planning for here and a little bit for Roy. So,
Why be afraid of Mark? We can take care of him.
No,
Mark would never let her go.
if we tried to headhunt on her, and
We just take
If
care
you
of
took
Mark.
her away
no,
from,
no.
if you took her away from Mark.
He can't use his hands right now anyway, so he can't fight back. All right, any other questions or?
So, okay, so we're gonna note it, so we're putting
We're
the
parking
area
it.
meetings
on the agenda.
on the
Next
agenda, and we're not doing anything with this.
So as a work session though,
As a work session, but at least highlight that we're discussing
area plans.
area plans, or the establishment of area
And
plans.
the goal is to pick dates for our meeting.
Make it as a
Well,
decision.
that'll be at the meeting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
We'll
Oh, yeah,
do
work
all
but
that.
yeah, that's the goal, is say who's gonna do it, what's it gonna look like, and then we'll make an
timeline.
official
They're
motion.
just trying to make it legal or
Okay.
whatever.
Yeah? Sound
So the
good?
public knows we are doing it.
Yeah.
Do we need to post, we don't have to postpone or
No.
anything?
Nope.
Number 9?
No, because it's just a work session.
Okay.
Just ongoing. Ongoing. Okay,
I move that we approve the minutes.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Babe.
Yeah, maybe say it. If I gotta say it again, great meeting last week. I watched it, or 2 weeks ago. It was fantastic. You guys did a really good job. Better you than me.
If only we knew a concrete guy for Mark Miller's body, I mean,
Yes, yeah.
little Jimmy Hoffa treatment.
Doesn't have to be